I remain Bisi Adegbuyi, barrister at law, Postmaster General of the Federation, and Chief Executive of Nigerian Postal Service.
Talking about Nipost that is dead, what is wrong? And why is Nipost like this today?
I disagree with you by your assertion that most Nigerians believe Nipost is dead. I don't think we have any scientific and empirical evidence to sustain that. Now, assuming without considering that Nipost is dead, an organization that has failed to reinvent itself, to study the needs of the people, particularly its customers, will go into extinction. What has happened to Nipost is not peculiar to Nipost. It's a universal problem. Because if you look at the philosophical underpinning of postal services, it is essentially a social service. Give information, connect people, deliver happiness, and it is predicated on trust. The trust that and the belief that come rain or shine, whatever happens, under any circumstances, mails must move and must be delivered. Now, if you fail in that core responsibility, confidence will wane. In this business, the customer is king, especially when you don't operate a monopoly, when it is more or less a deregulated market, what we call a perfect competition under economics. You must decipher what your customer wants. You must be interested in what we call customer experience. When a customer patronizes you, how does he feel? Or how does she feel? If he or she feels good, the multiplier effect of that is long because it's going to tell a lot of people. The reverse of that is if you have performed below par, the tendency is for him or her to tell as many people as possible, spread the bad news. And that's what we call reputation damage, which necessarily will affect your fortunes. Now, having laid this foundation, post offices or postal administrations all over the world are struggling with the need to reinvent themselves. Can you continue to be facilitator of social service? Can you continue to be a strictly government-owned organization? Yes, the fundamental of universal service obligation is there. Whether you make money or not, you must render that social service. But again, we have to tell ourselves the home truth. An organization that is saddled with universal service obligation must be alive, first and foremost, and must be thriving. For you to be alive and be thriving, your costs must not surpass your revenue. If that happens, you will go under. And when you go under, even the universal service obligation that you're supposed to render to people will not be able, or you can't discharge it. So what do? You need to strike a delicate balance in your altruistic and social obligation to deliver meals and the need to also do some commercial businesses. Okay? Look at your environment where you're operating from. There are areas where you can make money legitimately, and then you subsidize other areas where postal operations are not commercially viable. It is finding that delicate balance that is difficult for postal administrations all over the world. Now, there's a smart move about it in other jurisdictions. And that was what informed the decision of Canadian Post to hire the services of an architect, Moya Green, who revolutionized the Canadian Post, turned around the fortune. Hear this. The same person was poached by Royal Mail. An investment banker is driving the post in South Africa. And a commercial lawyer is driving the post in Nigeria. In some other jurisdiction, that is happening. What that does to the post is that you now look at the entire gamut of postal businesses, see opportunities that are there from commercial point of view, and run it as a business without forgetting the need to render universal service obligation.
Okay, at your last post day, you said that the service has come up with new initiatives. And
I didn't say we demonstrated.
You demonstrated.
Yeah.
Can you just maybe, but maybe step by step, tell us some of those initiatives and innovations that Nipost has brought on board for Nigerians to enjoy?
At the heart of postal administration, what we do, one thing is fundamental. It is the pivot upon which every other endeavor will rest. Addressing. Without a proper addressing system, you can't do e-commerce, you can't do financial services, you can't do deliveries, you can't do so many other things that are associated, contingent, or incidental to postal service. Now, the entire world is buffeted by addressing challenges, 75%. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. There have been various efforts and attempts to find solutions to it. What we have done, sometimes maybe there's fortune or providence in doing yours last. Remember that some African countries started global satellites, mobile communications before us. But when we started, we did it very right. And we leapfrogged and caught up with them and surprised the African countries that started the revolution. The same thing is happening to addressing system because we are deploying the latest, robust, hyper-specific addressing solution anchored on the technology of that. And I'm quoting Telegraph of London, crazy global mapper, Chris Sheldrick, who has prodigiously and disingenuously divided the entire world into 57 trillion 3 meters by 3 meters grid, each with a unique 3-word address. Anywhere under the sun, with the aid of mobile technology, app development, and GPS, you can deliver mails, packages, parcels to anywhere. Now, that's one revolution that we're introducing. Another is address verification, authentication, and validation. The multiplier effect of that is humongous. And number one is the security of lives and property. Men of the underworld, people who have predisposition to commission of crime do so because of the possibility of being anonymous. They give fake addresses, people don't know where they live. That's going to be a thing of the past because we've developed the solution to geocode and verify, authenticate, and validate addresses. We have also developed electronic stamp. We call it QB stamp, the first of its kind in Africa. What that seeks to achieve is for us to partake in the exponentially growing e-commerce ecosystem. Let me allude to what you said the other time, that it's the post office still in existence because mails are declining. Mails are declining, it is true. But e-commerce is exponentially growing. I mean, I'm sure you shop online. I do. And the millennials, the youth in Nigeria, consisting and demographically speaking, 65% of the population, arithmetically roughly translating to 70 to 80 million people. These are guys who shop online. And you need a robust addressing system to be able to deliver what they shop or what they buy online. Tell me the organization that is better placed, having regard to its reach, its network, its coverage, than Nipost. Now, in doing that, there's a law since 1939. Erroneously, well, don't let me say erroneously, they've called it, in my view wrongly, stamp duties. And that has caused a lot of misunderstanding and misgivings amongst the critical stakeholders in that industry. The law states that any transaction in excess of 1,000 naira by virtue of CBN regulation should be denoted, authenticated by a postage stamp of 50 kobo. That is denotion manually. But the preponderance or the greater percentage of those transactions don't take place manually anymore. They take place or we conduct such businesses online. Now, how do you affix 50 kobo manual stamp to such transactions? We have thought out of the box and we have developed qubit stamp that we demonstrated when we launched our new innovative and game-changing products on World Post Day on October 9th. The story does not end there. We're going into financial services consisting of mobile wallets, cash in, cash out, international remittances, and all of that. And here it is. Electronic money order. When I was growing up, and I'm sure this is applicable to so many other people, anytime anybody had a registered letter in the secondary school, it meant money had been sent to him via postal order. Traditional function of the post office, you can't take it away from them. But because of the disruptive technology we call internet, doing it manually became a challenge. So we have developed a solution wherein we can electronically sell money order from any part of Nigeria, and people who are beneficiaries by virtue of a code can go to any of our post offices and cash the money. It's there for you. That is local money transfer. The Central Bank of Nigeria has estimated that our migrant community, our diaspora, will remit between $20 and $24 billion in 2017 to their loved ones across the length and breadth of Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria, if you find out, can only tell you that, well, they've been able to capture $3 to $5 billion. Others are captured because they go through informal means. The ones that pass through informal means, they go through MoneyGram, Western Union. And our people who work day and night, who work very hard for their money, they pay astronomically high cost of transaction because the post offices are not involved. And that's informed the decision of the World Bank when we attended a conference, Global Forum on Remittances, Investment and Development. We had an African post offices roundtable, and it was centered on how do we get the post offices involved in remittances corridor. That we are said to be part of. One, it will bring down the cost of transaction. Two, the time and the reach. That is, beneficiaries that don't have presence in the urban centers. How do they come to the urban centers to collect what their loved ones have sent to them from abroad? If the post offices are involved, they can go to any post office and then take whatever has been sent to them. We're also going into agency banking. What does that mean? Whatever a bank renders as services in urban centers, don't forget banks are into this business to make profits. And one of the ways of ensuring that your profit is huge is to cut costs. Therefore, the cost-benefit analysis of going into banking operations in the rural areas will necessarily tell you that, hey, why do you want to go to Odiremo, Birinin Kirby, Iseleoku, Karanamoda, when the figures or the numbers there won't support your objective to make money. Now, it's a win-win situation for the banks and the post office because we will act as their agents because we have a presence in all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria. What that means is each post office will be turned to a financial center where you can go in there, open accounts, do payments, utilities, send money. One other area that we're going into, which has become the swan song, even of United Nations, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, is financial inclusion. The greater percentage of our people live in the rural areas. They don't have access to basic banking services, and they're Nigerians. We must serve them. We must bring them, the artisans, the people who are entrepreneurs, struggling hard to make ends meet. The only way we can serve them is to deepen financial inclusion. I'm happy to inform you that the Central Bank of Nigeria and Nigerian Postal Service is driving the process. These are some of the new cutting-edge, game-changing products that we have introduced. Quite a number of them are still we're still cooking them. For instance, what we call post-outreach, which simply means a mechanism at multiplying the postal outlets and postal offices all over Nigeria. Because of paucity of funds, Nipost cannot afford to continue to build post offices everywhere. Nigeria is a massive country. What do? You outsource. You enter into some kind of agreement or partnership with people who have houses, who have shops, as they do abroad, grocery stores, supermarkets, and what have you. They act as postal agents. Hitherto, it was not attractive because we're a monoproduct organization. But now that we have diversified and we have other products that we're bringing on board, it will be attractive for people to become our agents because as they do transactions, they are earning income. So which means if you have a room that is just there, just do it up. We'll give you the model, we'll give you the template, feel good environment, eclectic, where people can conveniently go in there and transact, businesses. I'm pretty sure and certain that by doing all of this, we're going to increase the fortune of the post office and thereby fulfilling our vision of posting the post into prosperity.
Okay, that is very nice one. But I want to ask this question. I believe that Nipost has an art. Some of these things that you just mentioned now, is it not contravening the art that regulates the service?
He who affirms must prove. I put you to the strictest proof of what you have just said. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. And what I brought to the table is my knowledge of the law. I've read our act inside out. And everything that we are doing or were said to do is encapsulated, is contained, is within the powers of the Postmaster General of Nigeria.
There is a bill currently at the National Assembly called Nipost Reform Bill. Can you tell us more about this?
Well, basically, Nipost Reform Bill is about commercialization of Nipost. It has potentials. And you need injection of foreign and local investment into it for you to be able to optimize those opportunities. What that means is you want to migrate from being a wholly government-owned institution first to an hybrid. Government will still be the owner, but will allow some private sector investments. And you ring-fence Nipost. Because there are sensitive national powers, for instance, address authentication and validation because it has security implication. You can't give it to just a private company. So what the Bisi seeks to do is to actually look at the entire gamut of Nipost and ensure that those areas that can be commercially driven, having regard to what Nipost has. Let me give you an example. Nipost has properties scattered all over Nigeria. Splendid properties located in high-end locations. For you to take advantage of that, you need to have a subsidiary, a property development company that will be saddled with that. Without the postal reform bill, you can't do that. E-commerce and logistics, I mean, that's exponentially growing, and it's a field where we can play and make money. Without having a full-fledged limited liability company that will be commercially driven, you'll not be able to do that. Even financial services. Okay, we want to go into financial services. Money will be remitted from abroad into Nipost. But by virtue of TSA, all monies into government parastatal should be transferred to Treasury single account. But it's not government money. Neither is it Nipost money. But we have to play in that corridor because there's money to be made. If you don't reform Nipost by passing the postal reform bill, that will be difficult. These are some of the advantages that are attendant to passing the postal reform bill, amongst others.
Okay, so the Nigerians in the diaspora community sent on a yearly basis, as you said, about $22 billion US. How would these new offers capture the mandates or the markets? Sorry.
No, the idea is, one, Nigerians are patriotic people. When they support Green Eagles, they do so passionately. If NEPA is working, Nigerians will be happy. Government institutions that are working, Nigerians are ready to patronize them. Therefore, because of the repositioning and transforming of Nipost that we're doing, we're set to, having regard to the technology we're going to deploy, to be a major player in that remittances corridor that will crash the cost of transactions. Everybody will be interested in sending money home at a competitive price. If Western Union is charging 9%, and Nipost, because one, we need to render social service, and then just make a margin to remain afloat and then be a commercial enterprise, and we'll crash it to 4 to 5%. Nigerians will patronize us. That's the motivating factor, and that's the strategy. Have you ever seen any family in Nigeria that does not have a mobile phone?
Yeah, some rural areas that don't have internet facilities.
Some of these things we are going to do will be offline. We're coming with a mobile wallet, cash in, cash out, that will not depend on internet. Technologies are coming, and they don't really depend on internet. The Web 3 technology that we're developing is offline. It's not dependent on internet. And we will demonstrate at the appropriate time by introducing what we call SIM scheme. We are cooking it. And it will not depend on whether you have a sophisticated phone or not. A simple phone. I mean, I was glad when the Director General of Universal Postal Union said this to me in Geneva, that I've met with your partner. Now I'm convinced that something big is going to happen out of Nigeria. That's just a sneak preview of what we are set to unleash, the revolution that was set to unleash in the areas of mobile money. I mean, they do it in Kenya, in Pesa, in Tanzania, and other areas, but we're going to do it better.
How soon are we going to see this thing operating in Nigeria?
As you know, it's technology dependent, and you need to ensure that you do due diligence. Don't forget, nutrition is anchored on trust. And that explained why a woman who collected a pension had the confidence and the trust in the post office to deposit the money in the post office. When we were growing up in times past, respected, responsible community leaders are always postmasters in their various environments, including my uncle. He was a postmaster of my hometown in Odiremo. I never knew my path would I would have any cause to work in the post office.
Okay, you've been in this position for, let's say, a year plus now.
Yes.
Has there been any challenges, sir?
Obviously, there will be challenges. I mean, transformation journey is hardest. It's always difficult. People who are beneficiaries of the decayed system will resist. People who are not forward-looking will write petitions. And then, of course, as you know, when you're used to doing a thing in a particular way for 20 years, you get used to it. For you to adapt and change is difficult. But the good news is that the greater percentage of the people who are working in Nipost are ready to change. They have hopped on the transformation bus. We're revving, we're moving. Anybody who doesn't join it will be left behind. Of course, funds will always be a major challenge because we don't receive subvention from government, apart from the fact that government pays or picks up the bills of the workers. Technology is not cheap. As you know, it's expensive. And without technology, you can't really run a 21st century post office. That is a challenge. However, we're thinking out of the box. We're going into PPP, public-private partnership, for people who have the box, who have the technology, to partner with us. We have the reach, we have the numbers. And I mean, Nipost is a beautiful bride. And I'm very, very confident that we will find a way around it until such a time that people embrace our new products and then we open new streams of income. These are some of the challenges